Hey, welcome back. In this video, we're going to look at drawing legs and feet. And I'm going to try to deconstruct this in a way that is going to be approachable to anyone who's ever struggled with drawing legs and feet. The key shape here that you want to consider when drawing legs is a tapered cylinder. And what I mean by that is that the area that connects with the pelvic area is going to be a wider can, right? It's like a wider face. And the area that is moving towards the knee is going to be a little bit smaller. So that's going to be our thigh. And then we're going to have our lower leg, right? These two shapes are really important. And what I would recommend is consider the fact that the lower leg is going to be just a little bit longer than the thigh. Now you can always play with that proportionally if you're creating a more stylized character. You know, you could have, say, a thigh and a lower leg. You know, it can be, you know, for a smaller character or for someone who's just a little bit more stylized, but that's the basic mechanic. And you want to be able to turn that cylinder in space and be able to hinge it from different angles. So, for example, if we want to draw the lower leg kind of bending underneath the thigh, essentially we have a cylinder on top of another cylinder, right? So let's consider this basic idea of the two cylindrical shapes, and then we'll talk about the foot in relationship to how everything works. And we'll talk about how the feet connect with the pelvic area. So I like to approximate the pelvic area as a cylinder, and if we consider the male form, essentially what we're going to do is draw a front that has, it's almost like a trapezoidal curved shape that has some thickness to it. If we draw the female form, pelvis is going to be a little bit wider and taller. In fact, I'll just exaggerate a little bit. And we're going to have more of a triangular shape. And these two shapes are important. So this is male, female, and the legs are going to interlock to that shape. So here's how the thigh connects for both male and female forms. You'll notice that when you're drawing the female legs, they generally tend to taper much more so than the male leg, right? So let's consider now how this works if we're going to draw the legs from an angle. And this technique, I think, could be helpful when you're trying to analyze a reference and determine how to derive a pose from it. So we have our thigh, and I'll draw the other cylinder. I'll draw through that form. And then we have our lower leg. And then for the foot, we're going to think about it in terms of a cylindrical shape and a curved wedge. When I'm learning something, I find it helpful to break things down into their simplest components. So for me, thinking about something I can draw, which is a cylinder, which is a cone, and then having a curved planar shape is a decent approximation for that particular structure. It's not the whole story by any means, and this does have a little bit of thickness, but it does help me have the visual, because if I can turn that set of shapes in multiple directions, then I can draw the foot from multiple directions. So let's consider, now that we have a working context of how the pelvic area connects with the feet, and the legs, and how you know, the structure of the actual foot itself. Let's now apply this. So I'm going to go ahead and hide what I've got, and let's consider drawing a foot and legs from a worm's eye view. So I'm going to draw the pelvic area here, and we're going to do some foreshortening. So this thigh area here is going to appear to be somewhat shorter, and the lower leg is going to be longer. And I'll draw the foot to provide some context here. We've got our heel and we've got our planar shape. And I'll draw the other leg. And I'm not going to spend too much time on drawing the musculature because I think it's really important just to get the basic shapes down first, right? Now, I'm going to shrink this down so that we can get a better view of it. And we'll add maybe a body and a head, so you can see that now there's almost a tilt going back. And so we have now this foreshortened thigh and this longer leg. It really gives us that sense that the character is being pushed back in space, right? Let's consider another example. This time, maybe a character, we're seeing the pelvic area from the top. So the leg is going to emanate. And then let's put the lower leg back here. We have our cone shape. We have our planar shape, right? And we're starting out simple just to make sure we understand what's going on. And I'll do the same thing for the other leg. Again, tapered cylinders. And I'll move this guy up. Have another set of tapered cylinders. Again, the lower leg is going to be longer than the upper leg. And then we have our cylindrical shape. And we have our planar surface. And now we've got feet. Now, we haven't talked about putting clothes and pants and other things like that, but getting that underlying structure is really important. Even if your character is wearing a dress, really important to draw under the dress so that you can understand how those forms connect. So I'll end this example with just one more exploration here, and we'll draw another female form. So there's the pelvic area. We got the heel. And for drawing, like a shorthand notation for drawing, I guess, a simplified version of feet for women, just kind of make them a little bit more pointy. Draw through the form here. You got the heel. And notice that I'm not being super precious with what I'm drawing here because I can always go back and I can always clean it up. This is an underdrawing. It's not meant to look pretty. It's meant to look a little bit rough, and it just helps me get a clear idea of, if I'm analyzing a pose, like how to approach it. So, you know, don't belabor that point. You can always go back in and add your details, but getting the underlying structure down is really important. And I kind of lied. I want to show you one more example here, but this time it's drawing the feet and the legs from the back view. So let's just say that that's the back view. We got our butt, which kind of looks like a W type shape. And then if we think about the crotch area for a male, it's towards the front, the legs extend down, and then we've got the lower leg. And I'll move this up here. We've got our heel. We've got our planar shape. The outside part of the foot is going to be more rounded. You're not going to see that arch there. And if I draw the other foot now, let's move this backwards towards us. So we're going to see that heel structure, right? Actually be something like that. And then we're going to have that planar shape. And so we've got now a foot moving away from us. I hope you found this video to be useful. Thank you so much for watching. Deconstructing legs is interesting and fun, and I hope you found this video to be informative. I'll see you in the next one.